Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving right into the third warning, the ego's excuses, and we'll be looking at how to overcome the mental barriers to daily prayer. Let's get right into it.
So, we are going to unpack something today that is just incredibly universal, but honestly, rarely talked about with total brutal honesty. I'm talking about the daily mental gymnastics we all do when it comes to prayer. Look, if you've ever felt this sudden, completely inexplicable wave of exhaustion the exact second it's time to pray, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. We've all heard these painfully familiar whispers in our heads. You know the ones, I'm so tired, I've got to study, I'm out and about right now, I'll just do it later. Or my personal favorite, I just really don't feel like it right now, which usually pops up when we're comfortably doing literally nothing on the couch. The source material for today, specifically the third warning from the 21st word, points out that these excuses for delaying prayer, they actually seem super logical to us in the moment. They don't sound like laziness. They sound like, well, reasonable scheduling conflicts. But are they really? What if they're actually a highly sophisticated defense mechanism designed to make a really simple act feel totally impossible?
And that brings us to the real culprit here. The source text introduces this concept of the ego, or the nephes as it's called in the original text. Now, in the context of this third warning, you can kind of think of the ego as your internal psychological antagonist. It is a total master of deception. The ego's main trick? Distortion. It takes this very short, highly valuable act of worship, and it basically puts a giant magnifying glass over it until it looks like this unbearable mountain-sized burden. It creates a total illusion of immense difficulty. It literally makes a 5-minute prayer feel like it requires the energy of running a marathon. Getting a handle on this is the absolute first step to beating it. Because once you realize your own ego is playing mind games with you, you stop trusting every single excuse it hands you.
Now, this brings up the ultimate, striking irony of how we manage our time. On one hand, the ego is in your ear telling you that a short, simple act of worship is this heavy, draining burden. But on the exact same day, for the exact same person, spending hours scrolling on a phone, having long random conversations, gaming, or just wandering around idly, somehow that feels light and incredibly easy. I mean, think about it. We don't get tired scrolling social media for 2 hours, right? But just the thought of a 5-minute prayer completely exhausts us. The text exposes this blatant hypocrisy head-on. It shows us that our perception of time and effort is completely skewed based on what we're directing our attention toward.
Okay, I want to pause here for a second because this next point is absolutely crucial. The goal of this explainer, and really the source material itself, is not humiliation. It is definitely not here to make you feel guilty or to beat you up for struggling. The text explicitly acknowledges that, hey, everyone experiences genuine exhaustion. We all go through intensely busy periods. Modern life is undeniably tiring. It just is. So the objective here is radical honesty, not shame. We need to strip away that guilt so we can actually look at the mechanics of our own minds objectively. By acknowledging that, yes, your tiredness is very real, we set the stage for personal accountability without getting all preachy. It allows us to just have a real, authentic conversation with ourselves.
So the whole thing really comes down to one crucial question. Do I genuinely not have time, or have my priorities simply shifted? The source challenges us to honestly ask ourselves, is the prayer actually too long, or have I just surrendered my attention to things that easily distract me? Just let that sink in for a second. When you say you don't have time, are you looking at a truly packed schedule with absolutely 0 minutes to spare? Or are you looking at a schedule where your focus is just kind of drifted away from what actually matters? Differentiating between a true lack of time and a shift in priority, that changes everything about how you manage your day.
Let's look at the objective reality of the situation. If we actually map out this trade-off, it is incredibly unbalanced. Under effort, what are we really talking about here? We're talking about a short amount of time for ablution, washing up, and the prayer itself. The physical and time commitment is genuinely minimal. But what about the reward? This source beautifully outlines that this tiny effort gathers your soul together, it gives real direction to your heart, it cleanses your day of all that mental and spiritual clutter, and it adds immense lasting value to your afterlife journey. The ego takes the effort, blows it way out of proportion, and tries to completely hide the reward from you. When you break it down logically like this, it becomes so clear that it's the absolute best investment of time you could possibly make.
All right, so how do we actually fix this? We're moving from theory to a highly actionable daily exercise right now. The source gives us this brilliant way to just short-circuit the ego's deceptive patterns. Step 1, catch the excuse immediately. The very second you hear, I'm tired, or I'll do it later, pop into your head, flag it. Step 2, write down the truth sentence. Literally write it down to break that mental loop. Step 3, pray without waiting. Do not give the ego even a second to formulate a counter-argument. Action creates momentum, right? This is all about stepping up, being your own firm mentor, and saying, nope, we are not playing this game today.
And what exactly is that truth sentence you need to write down? It's simply this. This prayer isn't long, I'm just having trouble starting. Let's just slow down for a second and appreciate how grounding that is. This prayer isn't long, I'm just having trouble starting. See how that instantly deflates the ego's lie? It separates the actual task, which we know is short, from the psychological friction of transitioning into it. By replacing your excuse with this powerful statement, you're performing a real-time cognitive reframing. You're admitting the actual truth. The task isn't the problem, the starting friction is. And once you name that friction, it completely loses its power over you.
Now, implementing this brings us to a massive trap that we basically all fall into, the perfectionism trap. The source reminds us of this really profound lesson. Worship does not require perfect feelings or high motivation. It runs on loyalty. We so often think, oh, I can't pray right now, my heart just isn't in it, or I need to feel spiritually elevated first. But the source tells us to just drop that immense pressure. You don't need a perfect spiritual state. Actually, scratch that. You don't even need a surge of high motivation. You just need to show up. Shifting your mindset from seeking this emotional high to simply practicing steadfast loyalty, that completely changes your relationship with daily habits. Because loyalty shows up, even when it's tired.
And this brings us to the absolute core of today's explainer. This is the ultimate mic drop moment of the source material. The ego doesn't save you from a burden, it actively robs you of a reward. I want you to let that completely sink in. When your ego tells you to rest, it makes you feel like it's doing you a massive favor, right? Like it's saving you from some heavy lifting, but it is a total deception. It isn't saving you from anything. It is actively robbing you of the peace, the spiritual cleansing, and the immense value we looked at earlier. It's basically a heist disguised as self-care. Once you experience this cognitive shift and realize you're literally being robbed, your entire perspective transforms.
To wrap up our explainer today, I really want to leave you with this final, direct challenge. Which excuse are you going to recognize and overcome today? We've exposed the ego's playbook. We've seen exactly how it distorts time, how it demands perfect motivation, and how it ultimately tries to rob us of our spiritual reward. The tools are totally in your hands now. So the very next time that little whisper tells you, I'll just do it later, well, you know exactly what to do. Step up, call it out, and claim your reward. And if just this third warning from the text has the power to shift our perspective this drastically, imagine what insights are hiding in the rest of the source material, the 21st word. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.